They have gone and done the unthinkable. That was the first thought racing through the minds of fans worldwide when Nintendo quietly unveiled a wheelchair basketball game with frantic, almost gravity-defying moves that look more like high-octane car soccer than any sports simulation. You might be asking, why is this so shocking? After all, this is the same Nintendo that once gave us a plumber who battles evil turtles by jumping on their shells. Yet the real reason everyone is so stunned lies much deeper. The way this new title, known as DragX Drive, has supposedly locked in its launch window has turned the annual release schedule for the Nintendo Switch 2 into a jigsaw puzzle that everyone is now scrambling to solve. Today, we are diving into exactly what that means, how it has thrown devoted Metroid Prime 4 followers into a flurry of speculation, and what possible ripple effects we can expect for other big names like Kirby Air Riders, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and Pokémon Legends Z-A. In this episode, we will explore the behind-the-scenes tension that arises when a beloved company like Nintendo tries to balance fan favorites with bold new experiments such as a wheelchair basketball spectacle. We have to ask, why wheelchair basketball in the first place? Why release it around mid-August in 2025, specifically the 14th day of that month, if the entire rest of the year is crammed with major releases? And what if these revelations are just the tip of the iceberg? We are going point by point through the potential hidden strategies lurking beneath Nintendo's schedule, from bridging the gap between mainstream eShop exclusives and epic AAA sagas, to carefully maneuvering which titles come out in the busiest holiday months. We will also delve into how these new revelations might confirm or accelerate the long-standing rumors about Metroid Prime 4, whose fans have been waiting with bated breath for more details since the very first snippet of gameplay footage was teased. Anticipation is even higher now that Kirby Air Riders is also rumored to slip right into the same year, making it a frenzied waiting game for both sci-fi action and pink puffball devotees. So, let us map out the puzzle. Nintendo is famous for having an almost clockwork release calendar, typically pinning a major first-party launch to nearly every month of the year. Suddenly, that pattern looks about as steady as a Jenga tower wobbling on a single block. Because DragX Drive was announced with minimal fanfare and yet pinned to August 14th, 2025. It might seem like an innocent piece of news, but each time Nintendo locks in a new date, it narrows down which months remain open for the other big hitters, effectively painting a giant target around August as a pivot point for speculation. You might wonder, are they hedging their bets on a brand new sports franchise in wheelchair basketball? Or is this part of a grander strategy to space out their biggest sequels? None of us can say for sure until Nintendo itself clarifies, but that swirl of questions and underlying tension is precisely why this story is so gripping. We have to talk about the key players in this drama, the major releases that have already been declared or strongly hinted to arrive in 2025. For instance, Donkey Kong Bonanza, a rumored return to form for the beloved tie-wearing ape, is expected in July of that year. Pokémon Legends Z-A has been earmarked for October, which is typically a comfortable window for massive role-playing launches. That leaves August, September, November, and December suspiciously close together. Now we know August is all about DragX Drive, the adrenaline-fueled wheelchair basketball romp. So, the unoccupied months are September, November, and December, or so we thought. Enter the puzzling trifecta of Metroid Prime 4, Kirby Air Riders, and Hyrule Warriors. Age of Imprisonment. Each is rumored or confirmed in one way or another for 2025. Metroid Prime 4. Beyond is the game that has arguably appeared in teasers, gameplay snippets, and rumor mills for several years now, leaving fans wondering just how far they can push the boundaries of the Switch 2 hardware. Kirby Air Riders was teased with little more than a pre-rendered concept trailer, delighting fans who have craved a new Kirby racing or action spin-off. Then there is Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, rumored to be the big holiday powerhouse. Although Nintendo has historically done some surprising maneuvers with their schedules near the end of December, when they sometimes shift a release into the next calendar year to avoid holiday clutter. Given all that, it is not surprising that DragX Drive's date has triggered an avalanche of speculation on fan forums and social media posts. Suddenly, theories about whether Metroid Prime 4 would land in September or November are bouncing around at lightning speed. Some are confident it is a September game, as it has already shown playable demos behind closed doors and teased bold new mechanics in occasional showcases. Here is the logic. If we have known about Metroid Prime 4 for so long, It just makes sense that it would come out immediately after the July and August titles, to keep the hype train rolling without a break. But others believe September belongs to a smaller side project or an expansion for DragX Drive. They point out that Metroid is a world-building franchise that thrives on deeper marketing campaigns, perhaps making November a more logical fit, giving the developers more time to polish the final build. Where does that leave Kirby Air Riders? Fans are downright itching for a fresh Kirby experience. Although we have not seen more than a snippet of the pink hero cruising through futuristic tracks on a star-shaped contraption, the expectation is that Kirby Air Riders might be placed into the calendar slot that can catch the pre-holiday rush. People are placing bets on November for this game, but it is entirely possible Nintendo might prefer to keep Kirby until early next year if they sense too much competition or crowding in the final quarter of 2025. Throw Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment into the equation, and you have a trifecta that is guaranteed to cause headaches for any scheduling manager at Nintendo. They might push Hyrule Warriors to December or even January, preserving the classic tactic of dropping a Zelda spin-off in a quieter yet thematically atmospheric window, especially if the game revolves around more ominous themes, like the Age of Imprisonment. Naturally, there is a deeper strategic conversation swirling among insiders in the gaming press. One theory is that Nintendo is leveraging the hype around Metroid Prime 4 to keep the momentum for their next-generation system surging through the latter half of the year. Another angle suggests that the major reason for shifting big releases around is to give enough breathing room to experimental eShop titles like DragX Drive, which historically might get lost if they were positioned too close to a headliner like Pokémon or Metroid. By distributing these releases carefully, Nintendo can maximize sales across different demographic groups without letting any one title overshadow the others. But the big question is, why wheelchair basketball, of all sports? Gamers and sports fans alike have been poring over footage of DragX Drive, dissecting the design of the wheelchairs, the futuristic courts, and the intense 3-on-3 mechanics that resemble a futuristic version of that phenomenon known as car soccer. Some believe Nintendo wants to highlight adaptive sports and accessibility, showcasing a spirit of inclusivity in ways rarely seen in mainstream gaming. Others assume it is a test balloon to see if fans will embrace a brand new brand identity that merges comedic, physics-based chaos with a more heartfelt message about representing players of all backgrounds. There is also speculation that DragX Drive hints at crazy drifting mechanics, rocket-powered wheelchairs, or a special dash meter that players can fill by performing spectacular aerial stunts. None of that is confirmed in detail, but each piece of ephemeral rumor only stokes the flame of curiosity. For the longest time, Nintendo has favored monthly releases to keep the eShop and the store shelves stocked with new content almost every few weeks. You see, it is not just about variety, it is about hooking different segments of the market. One month, they cater to fans of side-scrolling platformers, the next to open-world exploration, then to sports or puzzle enthusiasts. This pattern has allowed Nintendo to remain relevant year-round, avoiding the slump that some other publishers experience if they jam all their biggest hits into the final quarter of a single year. The new scenario, with distinct slots effectively claimed by Donkey Kong Bonanza in July, DragX Drive in August, and Pokémon Legends Z-A in October, strongly suggests that 3 months remain for the other contenders, September, November, and December. This is exactly where the tension emerges, because game watchers around the globe are playing detective, counting how many big Nintendo exclusives can realistically fit in that window. Adding yet another layer to all of this is the rumored hardware leaps of the Switch 2. Insiders claim that Metroid Prime 4 is being developed to push the new system's capabilities, possibly featuring more advanced lighting, bigger open environments, and faster load times than the original Switch could ever handle comfortably. Kirby Air Riders, if it is indeed a new racing extravaganza, might possibly incorporate online tournaments or cross-region matchups that rely on stronger processing muscle. Meanwhile, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, might push the envelope on how many enemies can appear on screen at once. It is entirely plausible that these major titles are scheduled so that each can get its shining moment in the spotlight without overshadowing the others, but that is no guarantee. Nintendo, as we all know, can throw curveballs that smash long-standing assumptions. Could they orchestrate a double release month if they see an opportunity to bundle 2 less overlapping games together in September? Even the rumor mill cannot answer that for sure. Yet for Nintendo fans, the excitement is half the fun. There is a collective rush in scanning every official social media post, dissecting every italicized hint in a developer blog, and poring over the subtle clues in game trailers. Did the faint silhouette in the DragX Drive announcement have any hidden references to Metroid Prime or Kirby? Was that background music in the wheelchair basketball demonstration a snippet from a brand new track that might appear in Kirby Air Riders as well? The speculation is endless, fueling an epic conversation that crosses language barriers and time zones. Even though that can be exhausting for some, the passion of the community is undeniable. It is the kind of fervor that drives countless fan sites, fosters creative user-generated content, and spawns theories so imaginative they could fill a library. By now, you might be just as curious about how this entire scheduling shuffle affects the broader Nintendo ecosystem. What about the rumored expansions for Pokémon Legends, Z-A? Are they tied to the success or timing of that October release? Or will they spin off into next year if sales momentum holds? And what about the frequently teased crossovers with other franchises? Could DragX Drive eventually include cameo appearances from Donkey Kong or Samus Aran, tying everything together in a big promotional swirl? Honestly, these questions can keep us up at night. While it might sound too chaotic on the surface, it could also be Nintendo's cunning way of capturing maximum attention. After all, every conversation or speculation thread only broadens the hype for the Switch 2, ensuring that from the moment we step into late summer, all eyes remain firmly on Nintendo's stable of iconic heroes and brand new experiences. At this point, let us take a moment to reflect on the sheer audacity of launching a brand new sports title in the middle of a year stacked with heavyweights. It is reminiscent of that time Nintendo decided to put out Splatoon when everyone thought shooters could never gain traction on a family-friendly console. Look how that turned out. Splatoon blossomed into a beloved franchise. DragX Drive might just replicate that success, especially if it carves out a unique identity that merges raucous fun with heartfelt inclusivity. Perhaps the biggest shock of all is that Nintendo is revealing it so casually, with minimal outward hype. That humble approach might work in its favor, letting intrigued fans discover it organically rather than risk overshadowing smaller voices with trailers that are overshadowed by bigger announcements. And now, my friends, if you are just as fascinated by these twists and turns as I am, please show a little love by letting us know you want more. If you have found a spark of excitement in the possibility of rocket-powered wheelchairs, cosmic pink heroes returning to the track, and an intergalactic bounty hunter forging new frontiers, give this episode a like. It is a small gesture, but it means a lot to those of us who geek out over every juicy rumor that crosses our screens. Moving on, let us circle back to the heavy hitters, Metroid Prime 4 and Kirby Air Riders. When Metroid Prime 4 was initially teased, audiences erupted in cheers. The glimpses of Samus Aran traveling across stunning alien environments suggested a bold frontier for the beloved franchise. Then came the confirmation that the game would eventually land on the Nintendo Switch 2, rumored to be capable of everything from advanced lighting to dynamic physics. Some believed it might be a launch title for the new console, only to discover that development was more complex than expected. However, as the new system's release date approaches, the puzzle pieces are now aligning. With Donkey Kong Bonanza in July, DragX Drive in August, and Pokémon Legends Z-A in October, the next available slot that can feasibly fit a major blockbuster is either September or November. Each scenario carries different implications. September is a prime back-to-school window, while November sets you up for holiday mania. Which one suits Metroid Prime 4 the best? Fans are passionately discussing that question at length, with half the community fairly confident that Samus is going to power her way into September, letting the pink fluff ball of Kirby Air Riders capture the holiday hype in November. What of Kirby, though? This adorable ball of pink fluff has repeatedly proven that it can secure robust sales any time of year. Kirby Star Allies found a devoted following, and Kirby and the Forgotten Lands soared in popularity, delivering a bright, accessible adventure that captured hearts of all ages. But Kirby's presence in the rumored Air Riders concept is building hype for a possible grand return to the high-energy spin-offs that fans cherished back on the GameCube. The question is whether that is truly a November game, or if it might slip into December or January. Nintendo has teased winter releases that end up either right near December or early in the next calendar year. That brings us to Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, which is said to be the winter release in 2025. With a name like Age of Imprisonment, you can bet it conjures images of dark times for the land of Hyrule, epic battles across sprawling fields, and countless adversaries to conquer in typical Warriors style. However, if Nintendo's track record is anything to go by, December is not always the prime slot for big games. There is a precedent for them holding back until January, especially if they worry about overshadowing a December release with holiday chaos, or facing competition from other high-profile titles. So some watchers suspect that Hyrule Warriors might truly wrap up the year's lineup in December, while others argue the phrase winter can extend into the first months of the following year. Everyone is left in suspense as the clock ticks down and more details remain hidden. From a marketing standpoint, we have to give Nintendo credit. They are not simply dropping a bullet point schedule with each confirmed date. They are letting each new revelation become its own event, even if it arrives in a subdued manner through an app post or a quietly updated press release. This fuels the speculation that each time a developer or executive says, "We will have more to share soon," fans go into a frenzy analyzing what that might mean for the other puzzle pieces. The entire ecosystem thrives on hype, but also on the long-standing trust that Nintendo generally delivers high-quality titles when they do confirm them. It is a delicate dance of building momentum, letting rumors percolate, giving players time to get excited about each upcoming game, and ensuring that the final reveals feel big enough to match the fervor of the speculation. Let us not forget the intangible sense of exploration that arises when waiting for a new Metroid or Kirby game. It is not just about the chase of new content. It is about being part of a grand tradition of fans unearthing every hidden detail, reading between the lines in official tweets, and analyzing the textures of potential screenshots. Every leak, rumor, or teased detail can feel like a thrilling discovery, fueling months of conversation and dream scenarios. Is it any wonder that something as seemingly mundane as the official release date for a wheelchair basketball game has caused a major shift in the entire schedule discussion? If we had gone back in time a few years and predicted that a brand new sports concept featuring rocket-fueled wheelchairs would hold the key to unlocking the rest of Nintendo's future lineup, people would have thought we were absolutely out of our minds. Yet here we are, smitten by rumors, conjuring elaborate scenarios, and eagerly awaiting the day we can finally say with certainty which big name arrives in which month. That does not even account for the potential of more direct-to-consumer announcements or possible tie-ins. In the past, Nintendo has done cross-promotional synergy, such as letting Samus or Kirby show up in cameo roles in otherwise unrelated games. A cameo of Samus Aran watching from the sidelines in Drag X Drive, or maybe a pink star-shaped cameo gliding across a wheelchair court, might seem far-fetched. But who can honestly rule out these ideas with a company that famously tossed Link onto a motorbike in Mario Kart? After seeing that, nothing is truly impossible. From a corporate perspective, these cameo crossovers keep the brand synergy strong and help smaller titles prosper when they are overshadowed by more famous franchises. As we spin these many possibilities, we also have a chance to reflect on how these moves might affect gaming culture more broadly. By championing a new wheelchair basketball title, Nintendo might nudge other developers to consider more diverse sports experiences or accessible gaming concepts. Meanwhile, the trifecta of heavy hitters, Metroid Prime 4, Kirby Air Riders, and Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, reinforces the notion that even in an era dominated by gritty shooters and realistic role-playing titles, bright and imaginative worlds remain a cornerstone of the medium. And if that resonates with you, it might be a perfect moment to subscribe for more deep-dive content. We only have so much time to piece these mysteries together, and staying tuned ensures you do not miss our next big breakdown, where we will dissect possible gameplay mechanics teased in that cryptic Drag X Drive trailer. Will Metroid Prime 4 truly transform the Switch 2 into a system known for epic, mesmerizing science fiction journeys? Is Kirby Air Riders going to redefine the boundaries of racing and aerial combat? And what about the unstoppable wave-based clashes of Hyrule Warriors? Age of Imprisonment, could it be the darkest Zelda spin-off yet, bridging the gap between a whimsical fairyland and ominous realms of despair? Those questions ignite fans' imaginations and set the stage for heated debates that can last for months on fan forums. Indeed, People who never cared all that much about wheelchair sports might pick up Drag X Drive just because it is tied to the other puzzle pieces in Nintendo's master plan. If that synergy leads to players branching out of their comfort zones, or fosters increased acceptance and representation in gaming, then we can hardly complain, right? In the past, we have seen smaller games break out once fans heartily embrace them, especially if they tie into a larger ecosystem of releases. For instance, Splatoon once faced skepticism, shooters with ink guns, colorful squid kids, and territory-based gameplay, but it grew into a cult phenomenon. Could Drag X Drive be the next unorthodox sensation that sets streaming platforms ablaze with highlight reels of dizzying wheelchair stunts? Perhaps. Is it feasible that the hype around that single announcement might inadvertently overshadow the schedule for Metroid Prime 4, Kirby Air Riders, and Hyrule Warriors? Possibly. But historically, fans of those big franchises will remain laser-focused, tracking down every possible clue about release dates and gameplay details. That joyous swirl of speculation, rumor, and occasional frustration is, in many ways, the beating heart of the Nintendo community. They thrive on events like Nintendo Direct presentations, Treehouse Live demos, and carefully planned teases sprinkled throughout the months. Typically, such reveals come with glorious orchestral music, swirling animations, and a voice telling us, please look forward to more updates in the future. Yet with Drag X Drive, the publisher took an almost stealthy approach, using a modest Nintendo Today app post to slip in a release date. This stealth tactic has ironically fueled even greater speculation, because fans are now more convinced that bigger reveals are lurking around the corner, perhaps just weeks away. What is most exciting is that none of us knows exactly how the next few months will unfold. Will we get a giant direct event in the spring or early summer that finally cements those rumored release dates for Metroid Prime 4, Kirby Air Riders, and Hyrule Warriors? Age of Imprisonment? Or is Nintendo perfectly content to watch the community's speculation spiral to a fevered pitch until they deliver a surprise blowout at the last minute? Only time will tell, but that uncertainty, while nerve-wracking for some, adds excitement for others. It is part of what keeps Nintendo fans glued to every official channel, ready to light up social media at a moment's notice, and thrilled by the possibility of another major bombshell announcement. So, let us keep an eye on that August window, because if Drag X Drive truly lands on the 14th day of that month in 2025, it will be more than a new sports game. It will be a signpost in the chronology of Nintendo's future, a locked puzzle piece that remaps the rest of the year's landscape, shaping how we plan for each subsequent release. And who knows, maybe that will be the gateway into a truly unforgettable year where beloved icons share space with a brand new sports phenomenon centered on unity, inclusivity, and explosive rocket-fueled wheelchair action. One thing is certain, these next few months are going to be a wild ride of speculation, excitement, and perhaps just a hint of frustration as we wait for the official word on which game claims September, which snags November, and whether we will even see that fabled December release date or watch it slip into the dawn of the following year. Ultimately, whether Samus locks down her return in September, or Kirby takes that slot while Samus moves to November, or Hyrule Warriors creeps into January, the synergy is undeniable. Nintendo's grand tapestry for 2025 is shaping up to be a carefully orchestrated phenomenon. Each new detail is a thrilling revelation, each rumor a conversation starter, each official date a clarifying puzzle piece. If that does not get your heart racing for the future of gaming, I do not know what will.